It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the Toolshed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Toolshed Podcast. What we do on this podcast, if this is your first time, I'll let you know. If this isn't your first time, you'll be hearing me saying this over and over, but we're constantly looking for tools and platforms and philosophies and software and I've already said platforms, but anything that can help a builder enjoy their business more, make it more profitable, give them more time freedom. Fundamentally, anything that can get rid of unnecessary pain out of a builder's experience. I mean, it's tough enough in certain environments and certain economies running a building business without adding to that pressure by not being aware of things that can really, really help us. So that's the fundamental purpose of this podcast. On this particular episode, I'm going to be speaking with Toby Loft from BuiltGrid, and I'm going to let Toby tell the story, but fundamentally they've created a process, a platform, a very cool environment that can put builders and suppliers together to really streamline the process and save the builder money and time on ordering of materials. So it's a pretty exciting thing if you've never heard of it before. Toby, great to have you on the podcast. What I'd like to find out first, we will talk about BuiltGrid, but I always like to find out a little bit more about the person and their journey. How did you end up being involved in the building industry, and then what turns and things happened in your pathway to get you involved in BuiltGrid?
Oh, Mick, how long? Firstly, thanks for having me. How long have you got?
As long as we need.
So my journey. Okay. So yeah, look, grew up in a family-owned business. Father's an electrician, still is. I think he still picks and chooses the work he wants to do today for his valued clients. So I guess grew up with builders in the home, doing electrical layouts on the dinner table. And then I guess from that, it helped me develop a really, strong work ethic and understanding of the industry. But from there, I sort of became a supplier. So worked in a number of fields in sales, so whether it was fastening or power tools or Bakelite back in the day, the first sales job, and ultimately found my way into a role at one of Australia's largest hardware retailers. So I was fortunate enough to work with some really key individuals and strong people and with some really good values that sort of help guide me and help me understand the builder market and the residential market. And look, I think it was there where I met now my business partner, John Murphy. So I think 7 years there running trade for over 400 independent hardware stores across Australia gave us a really good grounding of understanding the industry and potentially what's required, but more importantly, what's required from the supply chain point of view. So it was those conversations with John on weekends and sort of weeknights that sort of formed a process and really formed our vision of what BuiltGrid could become and how it could help the builder and more importantly, the residential construction market.
Yeah. You were selling Bakelite.
Yeah, PowerPoints. Switches, switch gear. So it was a natural step from being an electrician in an electrical business to Bakelite.
So yeah, well, I did my time as an electrician as well, so that brings back memories. What was, I can't even remember the name, but the material, this was way before breakers, when we used to have to actually build the fuse boards, and we had that black material, I can't even remember the name of it, that you got to laid all your fuses out and you dipped a match in white paint to put the holes in it.
Drilled the holes. I remember many a nights my father up the back, a shed building switchboards with that sort of stuff. Yeah, 100%.
It's changed a bit, but
it has.
So BuiltGrid, just give us a quick précis around the functionality of BuiltGrid, and then we'll sort of go back to how it became what it is now.
Yeah. So look, BuiltGrid is all about a project. BuiltGrid's about a project and helping the builder get it delivered on time and under budget. In a lot of cases, a builder, as they're managing a project, they need to remember and have note of 30 different micro industries. So, and when I say remember and have note, it's the call-up days their cabinet maker requires to do their job. The call-up days required for frame and truss to come out and do a site measure. Realistically, a builder is building a car, but on a different site every day. It's a manufacturing process. So BuiltGrid is all about connecting the builder to their supplier network to help them build their home on time and under budget. It gives them the visibility over their supplier requirements, but more importantly, the suppliers the visibility over the builder requirements, so they're ready to help them with the project when they need.
So what were the problems, I guess, and I ask this question a lot with people that have built resources, platforms, tools to be able to help builders. What were the problems that you were noticing? What was the pain that was being experienced? I guess from both sides. I'm sure that the supplier has issues as well as the builder.
Yep.
I mean, we're here to help the builder, but let's understand the whole thing. What were the problems that were happening in the relationship? What was the builder experiencing? What was the supplier experiencing that BuiltGrid fixes?
That's a really good question. So a lot of it is around supply and demand. So as an example, your frame and truss in a quiet time can be out at 4 weeks notification, and you can call them up and yep, I'll have it out in 4 weeks, etc. But there's often a time where you'll call it up and you give your frame and truss a call, and they'll say, oh look, we're now at 16 weeks. And what that then does for a builder project is blow out the timeline, blows out the electrician being in there, the plumber being in there, the roof being on, and it disrupts the whole industry. And as a builder, you never get that time back. You can't make up time on a job site. It's very, very rare or very hard to do.
So it's a time saver, but also I'm imagining it's a money saver from the builder's point of view. Correct. As well.
Yep.
So from going back to the supplier, what issues were they experiencing before you started to put them together with the builders?
Oh, well, we could, that list would go forever, I think. But ultimately, as a supplier, you're in a market, and whether a builder's using an estimating app or whether they're using a construction management app, their system is siloed in that it goes from the builder's system into a supplier's email. And ultimately, it's then up for the supplier, and as an example, a concreter might receive an order for $100,000 slab. It's into his inbox. Ultimately, there's nothing that says, yes, I'm going to do that job, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So as a supplier, you're dealing with multiple different systems out there that every builder operates slightly differently. And so BuiltGrid provides that structure for a supplier where they have the visibility, they can input their own call-up days, etc. And we put that into the builder schedule or the builder side of the system, and we automate a lot of the components that the builder would normally have to do. So therefore, the builder's saving time and money, and so's the supplier.
So run me through the difference between I'm a builder that doesn't use BuiltGrid, I'm doing it the standard garden variety way, versus somebody else who's using BuiltGrid for a project, let's say, a standard home. What will be the difference in the experience between the builder not using BuiltGrid and the builder using BuiltGrid?
So to date, with the builders that we've got on board, and there's over 500 builders now on board using BuiltGrid across New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, and WA. What they're experiencing in general between operational process and in some cases cost savings, they're experiencing around a 9.5% saving in dollars and their cost of time. But more importantly, on average, they're saving around 4 weeks per project. So when their estimated project finish or completion is and handover versus when it's managed through BuiltGrid is around 4 weeks, and that can do a huge amount for a builder's cash flow.
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we talk about in Black Belt is for a builder to know what it costs to keep the doors open down to a daily basis. So all
Correct.
of your expenses over the whole year, and run that, sort of amortize that over the number of days that you're actually working. So you figure out your daily rate. And, you know, if you can even save a week, that can be tens of thousands of dollars in some cases. So it's pretty profound.
Correct. And it's that lack of visibility over a supply network that causes those grey days. So the truss example I gave you, you call them up and they're saying, oh, well, now we're at 6 weeks. That's 2 weeks potentially of a site that's inactive. Whereas if you have a connected supply chain, that supplier updates his settings, it notifies the builder, hey, it's now 6 weeks call up. The builder's calling it up on time and the project keeps moving. It's a huge saving.
So while we're on the money side of things, what does it cost the builder to be a part of BuiltGrid? What does it cost the supplier? How does the system work?
So having known the industry like we do and dealt with many builders, we've sort of also realised that we don't want to add a cost to the industry. We don't want to add a subscription or the likes to the builder. At some stage, a builder makes a decision on how much value does this add to my business versus its cost, and either they can drop off or keep using it. So we made the decision very early on that we would have a freemium product, meaning a builder's suppliers and a builder can work in our system at no cost. Right. That the connection is there. They can use the product to manage their projects from estimate all the way through to completion at no cost. The way we do monetize our system is that if their supplier actually has capacity and wants more work, they can then pay a subscription to potentially see other builders' work and potentially quote on that and win that.
Right. So the supplier is fundamentally funding the process,
Correct.
if you like, funding
Yes.
BuiltGrid, but even they, when they're funding it, they're doing it through having more opportunity. So they get to
100%
sell more stuff.
And it's more opportunity when they need it. So if you think about a supplier today in a market that we're going from 240,000 homes to 170 or 150,000, depending on what numbers you look at, suppliers are definitely looking for work. And right now they use Instagram. They'll ring 20 builders. They will potentially get an email from a builder 6 months later. So the work required to win more work is huge. So we give their suppliers the opportunity to look at projects straight up and actually look at the projects that are active and accept them and quote on those.
Hey, I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt, and I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Toolshed Podcast. I've got something super exciting I want to share with you. We've got a place that's got a whole bunch more free resources to help you with your building business. In fact, there's a whole other podcast that gives you specific training that will help you get more free time, more profit, and more enjoyment from your building business. And it's called, funnily enough, the Toolshed. It's free to join, and it's full of other success-focused builders. And I invite you to join us in the Toolshed, where you can ask me questions and get guidance and support from other successful builders. Just click the link in the description to join, and I'll see you in there. I hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast. Run us through the process. So I'm using BuiltGrid now. I've got a project that I need to price.
Yep.
What are the steps that I start to use now that I'm using BuiltGrid compared to how I would normally do it?
Well, are you estimating or are you at contract, Mick?
Well, I guess let's start at the start. We've had the initial meeting with the client, and we're doing an estimation. We'll start
Fantastic. There. Yep. So there's 4 steps really. It's around, number one, templates. So how you manage your business and how you construct a home is generally the same. So you can, in our system, you can set up a template. So when you're looking at foundations, you might get a concreter in to do the whole lot, or you might buy the Rio, you might buy the concrete, and you might get a concreter to come in and pour it on the day. So templates really allows you to set up your business the way you go to market every time. So you get an inquiry, you have plans, you have the information you need. You can upload those plans, fill in a little bit of information around the quality type there, where it sits in the market. You then select the jobs that you need completed for that project, and as I touched on, that's done via templates. And then you can share it with the network. So you can, by ticking your suppliers it goes out to, or further than that, a network of trades that potentially want more work. So you can go from receiving plans, having them in the system, out to a network of over 9,000 suppliers now, or trades, material suppliers, and services.
Wow.
In 25 minutes.
Wow.
So the process there? Yeah, exactly. So the process from there is those suppliers respond. So they'll come back and update their quotes into the system. You see at what stage each quote is at. So when someone accepts the job, when your supplier uploads a quote, it's all within the same system. We line up a side-by-side comparison for the builder to review up to 4 trades or services. And then from there, it builds a budget for them. Also, automatically builds a schedule based on the jobs that are in the system.
Wow, that's amazing. And then we move into, okay, we've got signed contracts now. Are we still involved in BuiltGrid at that stage as far as ordering and delivering and so forth?
Definitely. And I think that's where our strength is. It is around procurement. So we talk to a builder about the processes of what they do in their business, and the estimating component is one component. We also talk to the builder about once you've won the work, you should be placing an order for every job within that project. So then you can just go and focus on the build. We understand that variations happen, but variations should be through conversation. You should have a base of, okay, this is what it was when we started, and the variation looks like this. It helps the conversation for the builder with the homeowner, but more importantly, ensures that everyone's getting rewarded or paid for the work that they're doing. So variations are done through a different cycle, but locking it in early, you move it to through a procurement cycle, you place your orders, because I would challenge that your subcontractor agreements are the most important agreement, second to your homeowner agreement. So you're held to a price. You've signed a contract saying, I'm going to build this for this. Locking in those contracts before you start the build with your subcontractors and with your suppliers ensures that your customer gets what they want, and obviously you get what you need. It helps your business.
No surprises for anybody. Unwanted
Correct.
Surprises. So this sounds good to the builder listening to the Toolshed podcast right now. What are the steps to taking a look at BuiltGrid? Is there a test drive option? Is there some way that they figure out whether this is the right thing for them? Just to find out whether it's something that they really want to put the effort into implementing into their business. So what are the steps that they take initially?
Look, because we're free, they can jump online, they can sign up. But we do recommend that you work with us through training. So we generally see it takes a builder around 3 projects to get to that position of, okay, I now know what I'm doing and why I'm doing this. There's some terminology that we use in the system that's a little bit different. We call a plumber at rough-in, supply and install, those sorts of things. So a builder can sign up. Generally, we set up a meeting with, an onboarding meeting where we take them through the process, and we work through their listing of their first project. By doing this and sort of helping them through that process, they get up and running by themselves a lot quicker. So that's how we've seen it work best. But ultimately, it is a process change for a builder. So they really need to want to actually make this change. Yeah.
And so before we pressed the go button today, we were sort of saying, haven't spoken to each other in a while, and BuiltGrid has changed significantly since we initially spoke. What are some of the changes that you've got in mind for the future? So what have you got in mind, for the evolution of BuiltGrid? What can we expect in the future, do you think?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of talk at the moment around AI and those sorts of things, and I think anything we can automate to make the builder's life and the supplier's life easier is a good thing. And when I say easier, it's the tasks of pricing. It's a task of the phone calls. It's a task of the reminders. All those things that if we can automate all that and create solutions where we take the data we've got from a range of quotes and provide that back to the builder as a ballpark in the estimating stage. It's definitely going to help the builder move through that estimating stage quicker. And so they're the things we're looking at the moment around automation and AI and what that can look like. The other thing we're currently working on is we are integrating with a number of builder apps. So there's four in place at the moment that we've got integration with, which means that a builder can be using their system, and there'll be a button in there that says send to the BuiltGrid network, and it will then drag the plans and set up the project for the builder and send it out to their network.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. What are the apps that are connected at the minute?
So we're currently got an agreement with Wonderbuild.
Yep.
We've got Dindo, Builder Trend, and we're talking to Procore. So there's a number of them out there. And look, we see integration as the opportunity of the future. We don't want to add layers for the builder to do. We actually want them to be working in their own system and then utilising the best of the industry to actually manage their projects. So the other side of that is we're talking to the hazard codes, the build pass, these guys around the health and safety, and how we work with the supplier network to bring that into the app. So the builder, again, is protected by using that supplier network.
Yeah, wonderful. It's great. Purpose of the podcast really is to make more of these connections and awareness of all of the stuff that's around, and we start to work together and make a more frictionless experience for the builder. I mean, they've got that many spinning plates and that many responsibilities and that many skills that they've got to learn, babysitting and all of the whole rest of it,
100%.
Without adding layers and layers of technology on onto their plate.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't say I'm the most tech person out there, so I know what it's like. It's learning something new and a new process is always really difficult, and it's really easy to fall back into habits that you grew up with. So the more we can integrate and bring the industry together, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So best way for a builder to get started, I'm assuming, is just go to BuiltGrid.com. Do the free sign up scenario. Is that the way to go?
Yeah, definitely sign up for free. Look, we'll reach out to you and sort of introduce ourselves and take you through that process. Or there's a number online. Give that a call. You'll get me, and we can talk about how we can introduce it into your business and what it looks like for your next project.
That's absolutely brilliant. So thanks, Toby, for being on the show, taking the time to be on the show and telling us all about BuiltGrid and having a positive contribution to the building industry. That's what we're all about with Builders Business Black Belt, and virtually every guest that's ever been on this podcast is they're contributing to the positive forward movement of the industry and just making it a better and more professional industry. So thanks for being on the podcast.
No, Mick, thank you. And as I've always said, I think what you do around education and these bringing awareness to the industry about what's out there is second to none. So, mate, keep up the great work.
Brilliant. Thanks for being on the show. So, folks, there you have it. BuiltGrid, BuiltGrid.com. We'll put a link in the description. All you need to do is click on that link, head to the website, free sign up for people who like speaking to people. There's a phone number there as well, but absolutely nothing to lose here whatsoever. You can just jump on, have a conversation, start using it. As Toby said, you probably might need 3 or so projects through the system till you start to get the rhythm and start to figure it out. But getting sort of an 8, 9, 10% reduction in the cost of your materials, not to mention saving time and getting your projects done on schedule or maybe even ahead of schedule, who knows, has got to be worth the exploration. So jump onto BuiltGrid.com, hit the free sign up and see where it takes you. But that's it for this episode of the Toolshed Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were stimulated in your thinking, and I really hope you do take action and go and check that out. So as I said, that's it. I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. I'm out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Toolshed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.